Did you know that the biggest threat to your wallet in America today isn't inflation? And it's not even the Federal Reserve's interest rates, but rather the very asphalt you drive on every single day. It sounds crazy, but the counterintuitive truth is that the more the U.S. government spends on infrastructure, the more our roads and bridges seem to crumble right before our eyes. Just recently, a colossal $5.2 billion project was greenlit to rebuild a single bridge. And the biggest scandal here isn't the astronomical price tag. It's the fact that you, the taxpayer footing the bill, were never even asked. In this video, we're going to blow the lid off Washington's black box to show you, in less than 10 minutes, how your hard-earned money vanishes into thin air behind closed doors, and the ultimate secret big-time contractors don't want you to find out. Buckle up, because what you're about to see is going to completely flip the script on how you look at every single dollar leaving your paycheck. Topic 1. The invisible $5.2 billion giant. Look, imagine waking up tomorrow morning only to find out someone put a luxury yacht on your credit card without so much as a phone call. Well, when a staggering $5.2 billion figure gets slapped onto the rebuild of a single bridge in the United States, that's exactly how the average American pulling a hard day's work feels. This astronomical amount isn't just some abstract number on a piece of government letterhead. It represents the blood, sweat, and tears of thousands of families funding nationwide monuments without ever being invited to the negotiating table. You only have to look at what historically went down with the iconic bridge crossings over the Hudson River, or the massive bottlenecks along the East Coast, where budgets literally double overnight like a magic trick. A wise builder knows that the true foundation of a nation isn't made of reinforced concrete, but rather the trust of the people paying the bills, and that trust cracks wide open long before the first shovel hits the dirt. If you want to dive deep into how centralized power shapes these top-down decisions without the people's stamp of approval, the classic masterpiece Atlas Shrugged hits the nail right on the head regarding this tug-of-war. Carrying the weight of a massive project like this with zero transparency is like trying to steer a ship completely blind right into a perfect fiscal storm. The average Joe, who just wanted to see the potholes fixed on his own block, ends up becoming an involuntary shareholder in a monument to runaway government spending. And the most mind-boggling part of it all is realizing that this money doesn't just grow on trees in the Capitol. It follows a very clear, direct pipeline right out of the pockets of the folks who least expect it. Topic 2. Washington's pen versus the local pocketbook. You see, there's a massive disconnect between the plush-eye carpeted hallways of Washington offices and the boiling hot asphalt on the roads of Ohio or Pennsylvania. When trillion-dollar federal infrastructure bills are signed into law with golden pens in the Capitol, the promise sold on cable news is always a flawless, shiny new future. However, reality hits the working class like a ton of bricks when they realize that the money approved way up top rarely moves the needle on the actual daily commute they make to feed their families. It's a pretty wild mechanism. The federal government opens the floodgates to a bottomless vault, but then passes the buck to state agencies operating inside a total bureaucratic black box. To really grasp how this centralization of economic power suffocates local independence and warps the market, I highly recommend picking up The Road to Serfdom by Friedrich Hayek, which spells out this exact phenomenon. The everyday taxpayer only finds out the real price tag of the project when those bright orange construction barrels start blocking traffic in their neighborhood, without a single local vote ever taking place. This comfortable distance that policymakers keep from the citizens actually paying the taxes creates a dangerous rift at the very core of the American economy. After all, it's incredibly easy to write billion-dollar checks when it's not your own name on the signature line. Am I right? The end result of this upside-down math is a system where the top calls the shots and the bottom writes the checks, paving the way for a much deeper inside game played far away from the public eye. Topic 3. The closed-door contract paradox and conflicts of interest. One of the greatest lessons the cutthroat world of big business teaches us is that where there's smoke and a lack of transparency, taxpayer money is burning for no good reason. In the arena of American infrastructure, Bidding wars for mega-bridge projects often turn into an exclusive country club for a handful of massive corporate contractors. When the blueprint for a $5.2 billion job is drawn up behind closed doors, budget overruns and change orders start popping up as perfect excuses to pad the final bill, with nobody answering to the citizen at the end of the line. Think about it like hiring a contractor to remodel your kitchen for 10 grand, and halfway through the job, he demands 100 grand without giving you a single straight answer. In recent American history, mega projects like Boston's infamous Big Dig perfectly showcase how billion-dollar estimates spiral completely out of hand due to a sheer lack of independent oversight. For anyone looking to understand this efficiency mindset and see how true accountability should work outside of corporate welfare, Frederic Bastiat's book, The Law, is an indispensable beacon of common sense. This endless merry-go-round of bulletproof corporate contracts creates a genuinely infuriating paradox. While one single project swallows a whole state's budget alive, the surrounding streets remain riddled with potholes that wreck everyday people's cars. The whole system is so rigged that technical failure is actually rewarded with even more public funding, completely shielding the people calling the shots. And the worst part of this setup isn't just the immediate waste of cash, but the quiet, compounding debt this monster bill leaves for future generations to clean up. Topic 4. The real cost of taxpayer silence. At the end of the day, the cold yet hard truth that nobody wants to admit from a campaign podium is that there is no such thing as a free lunch, let alone a free $5.2 billion bridge. When the American taxpayer chooses to stay silent, or simply looks the other way, because civil engineering seems too complicated, they are signing a blank check with a lifetime expiration date. This colossal bill doesn't land on your doorstep in a fancy government envelope. It comes out in dribs and drabs through hidden taxes baked into fuel prices and toll rates that make your daily drive more expensive. It's just like that timeless financial wisdom we learn from foundational books like The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. A person's wealth or a nation's wealth pours straight down the drain when they trust their gold to people who have no skin in the game. If you want to bulletproof your own net worth against this invisible drain, the best practical move you can make is to closely track your own state's Department of Transportation budget and show up to local town halls. After all, the people who fund the blunder out of pure distraction always end up paying the steepest price. Keeping the public completely in the dark about these massive numbers is the ultimate strategy for the bureaucratic machinery to keep spinning without any checks or balances whatsoever. The true cost of this collective silence isn't just measured in wasted dollars, but in the total loss of control over the future of our very own communities. And it's exactly when we take a step back to look at the bigger picture of this fascinating landscape that we see the true size of the mountain we have to climb. Conclusion. Looking at everything we've broken down today, it's crystal clear that the real power to turn the tide lies squarely in the hands of the people funding this nation. You. How much longer are you going to sit back and watch $5.2 billion decisions get made without your voice, your vote, and your consent? Knowledge without action is nothing more than a distraction. And if you want to build a different reality and protect the fruits of your labor, start calling out the spending habits of your local leaders today. The future of our infrastructure and our economic freedom hinges on us breaking our silence. Zoifo, if you're ready to step up as a true titan of this industry, and you refuse to be just another distracted passenger on this ride, hit that subscribe button for Empire Structures right now, and turn on notifications. Join the sharpest, most dedicated community of infrastructure minds in the country, because high-level insight is the only wrench big enough to break these gears.